Robert Shwartzman wins a shock pole at the Indianapolis 500, but it's the Team Penske scandal, another one that has everyone talking. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. If you would have told me on Tuesday of last week that Prema would be sitting on pole for the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500, I would have laughed in your face. I would have paid you money that would not happen because there was no way I thought it would happen. Guess what? I'm a fool. We're all fools because Robert Shwartzman as well as Prema are sitting on pole for the Indianapolis 500 after an absolutely magical run on Sunday at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. When practice opened on Tuesday of last week, Prema were still assembling their oval-only cars. At the open test, they ran the road course cars. They were still putting their cars together when everybody else was heading out for first practice. As a team, between their two cars, they only turned in 22 laps last Tuesday. Will Power, who paced the session, turned in like 71 laps just by himself. And it felt like, all right, are they taking it seriously? Like, I mean, yeah, they are. They're Prema. They've been around for 42 years. You would think that they're taking it seriously. But it seemed like they were just really struggling to get up to speed after a pretty slow start to the season as well. I mean, Shwartzman's best finish this year is 18th in the first 5 races. Twice he's finished 18th. So it's not like they've been setting the world on fire, contrary to what the Drive to Survive Formula One fans think. Oh, he's dominating IndyCar. He can't even make it to F1, but even F1's rejects can go over and dominate IndyCar. He's not dominating, but he did win the pole, which is really impressive for him. A magical run on Saturday set him up into the Fast 12 for an even better run, then gets into the Fast 6, lays down a monster lap, and everybody's like, oh my God, these guys are going to do it. This rookie team from Italy with a rookie driver via Israel, via Russia at that point. He can't say the Russian part, so he participates underneath the Israeli flag. It says his hometown's Tel Aviv. Robert Shwartzman's on pole for the Indianapolis 500. Never would have thought that. The kid's been super gracious with his time. I think he's almost in shock that he's on pole for this race. And it's crazy to think that he is, because this isn't something that happens. Last time we saw a rookie on pole at the Indianapolis 500 was 1983 with Teo Fabi. Like, it's been a long, long time. And now we've got another one happening here. And completely unexpected at that. I just did not think that Prema would be on pole for the 500. I thought Prema was going to be destined for the last row shootout because they didn't seem to have the speed, but then we turn the boost up, they're running really well. And listen, Michael Cannon was slated to be a part of that team. He left back in January, and I just wonder if they got any of his Indy 500 information when he was still there, because it looked like Michael Cannon was setting up these cars. And if you're not familiar, Michael Cannon is an absolute genius at getting cars to go really, really fast around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So much so that Team Penske last year did a deal with AJ Foyt Racing, a technical alliance, but that allowed them to get all the information that Michael Cannon had, because Cannon was working at Foyt at the time. And guess what? Penske sweeps the front row of 1, 2, 3, and they went on to say, oh, we don't really think it had that much to do with Cannon. Oh, it didn't have that much to do with Cannon because this year you don't have Michael Cannon's information and you didn't sweep the front row. So I would say that it definitely did. But for Robert Shwartzman, Prema, hats off to them. Never expected that to happen. Robert went to the McDonald's drive-thru, had a McChicken last night, and got up for practice on Monday morning. Really impressive run by them. Happy for them. A nice bright spot to a pretty rough start to the season for that upstart team. But for as great as Robert Shwartzman and Prema's run was, and how excited everybody was about that, everybody this week is talking about the Team Penske scandal. Another one that has rocked the IndyCar world. So if you missed it, on Sunday at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway before the Fast 12 qualifying, the 12 car, Will Power, is going through technical inspection, and an official notices something on the attenuator of that car, notes it, but clears him, passes him to go out to pit lane so he can qualify for the race. The 2 car of Joseph Newgarden comes through later on. He notices the same thing on the attenuator, and he goes and looks at the rule book, and he's like, yeah, that's not allowed. That's breaking the rules. You're not allowed to qualify. They go down and fight the 12 car of Will Power, and they're like, hey, you can qualify, but we will disqualify you once that run is over. So Team Penske pulls both of their cars out of line, out of qualifying. They elect to just start 11th and 12th. Scott McLaughlin, who flipped over on Sunday morning, scary crash for him. Didn't have that attenuator issue that the 2 and the 12 did. He was going to be starting 10th, and he still will actually start 10th. So they pull him out of line, and everybody's like, all right, what did they do? We find out what they did. Basically, on the attenuator, there are two pieces that made up. They go together, and there's a seam. So basically, like, think about one piece sliding inside of another piece. Then you have this little bit of a ridge right here. They decided to take an epoxy or some sort of adhesive material right there and smooth it out so that there wasn't this lip there anymore. They made it a smooth surface to go across. And does it help out air-wise? Yes. Is it going to gain them a ton of speed? No. But the attenuator is still a part on the IndyCar that you cannot modify. Think about the same thing in NASCAR with single source supply parts. You're not allowed to modify them, and that's the same thing we had here. You cannot modify it. That is where the rule is broken. And IndyCar, said that they weren't going to let them qualify. Okay, but they were going to let them start 11th and 12th. And that seems to be where most people had an issue with. And that is when the uprising happened. Because last night, on Sunday night, IndyCar was like, hey, any penalties that are going to come from this will come after the Indianapolis 500. And everybody else is sitting around going, dude, they definitely had this on Saturday. We have a week before the 500. Figure out your penalty now. Like, they should have to serve that penalty now, not in Detroit a week after the 500. That's just not fair to all the other competitors. And IndyCar did respond after Pato O'Ward on Sunday night was like, I know they're running it on Saturday. They should have had their times disallowed from Saturday. They should be running in the last row shootout. And he's probably not wrong, although the rule book doesn't explicitly lay out a format to kind of follow that where they would have ended up running in the last row shootout. But their times from Saturday probably should have been disqualified because it was definitely happening on Saturday. We'll get to more of that in a second. But according to Nathan Brown at the Indy Star, Chip Ganassi appears to be the one, as Jenna Fryer pointed this out as well. Chip Ganassi appears to be the one that kind of was the whistleblower in the situation. And then he and Penske Vice President Jonathan Gibson had some, heated exchange of words on pit lane. But hey, shout out to Chip for wanting to go out here and stick up for the rest of the paddock, because you can't continue to break the rules. This is the third year in a row we've had a Team Penske scandal that continues to cloud IndyCar, put a black or a dark cloud over it. In 2023, you had that unprecedented red flag at the end of the race to set up a one-lap shootout where it absolutely benefited the two car of Joseph Newgarden. And I don't think there's a single person in the sport outside of the sport that believes for a second that wasn't thrown to help out the Team Penske car of Joseph Newgarden. Everybody believes that. In 2024, you had the push-to-pass controversy. Oh, we didn't know that our code in our cars allowed us to use push-to-pass. You didn't know because you were certainly hitting push-to-pass a lot at times when you weren't allowed to do it. And now you have this one. And is it that egregious? No, but it's once again another thing that hurts the integrity of this series, because Roger Penske's the owner. Roger Penske owns the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Roger Penske owns IndyCar. He owns the team, and it seems like his team is always at the center of these controversies and always seems to kind of just skirt by with a little bit of a slap on the wrist. This time around, the two of Joseph Newgarden, the 12 of Will Power, they have been removed from their 11th and 12th starting spots. They've been relegated to the last row for the start of the Indianapolis 500 on Sunday. Both teams fined $100,000. Both team strategists kicked out of the race, which, hey, this happened last year too. And guess what? Joseph Newgarden still went on to win the race. Now the question is, how long have they been doing this? So Marshall Pruitt, as well as Jenna Fryer, on Monday during practice were like, actually, you know what? Joseph Newgarden's 2024 race-winning car is on display at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. Why don't we go over there and check it out? And guess what? The attenuator has that same epoxy smoothed out seam on there. So they've definitely been doing it for over a year now. And that's the part that's frustrating, because they don't need to do it, but they're still doing it. And nobody else is doing it. So everybody else understands the rules here. But Penske perfect, can't figure it out. I don't believe that for a second. And Tim Cindric comes out and he's like, oh, we just got to get our processes underway. And it's like, didn't you say the same thing when you did your push-to-pass cheating scandal last year? Oh, we got to figure this out internally. We got to get better. They're not getting better, because I genuinely don't think that they care, in my opinion. I think that they're okay with this, and they kind of just get a slap on the wrist. What would have made it hurt is they get disqualified from the Indianapolis 500. At least one of their cars does. Like, I don't understand how you can be like, oh yeah, Saturday's fine, but Sunday's not. It's like, well, they definitely did this on Saturday too here. But regardless, I did find it funny. Nathan Brown from the Indianapolis Star was texting with Tim Cindric and basically asked him, hey, because it was on Sunday, did this also happen on Saturday? And Cindric responded with, I'm done replying about this topic. So read between the lines here, I think you just got the answer that you already knew. The other funny moment, though, after Cindric was talking to the media on Sunday in the garage area, he turned around and there was a gentleman behind him wearing a Cincinnati Bearcats, shout out to the alma mater there, hat with a shirt in the Team Penske logo and font that said Team Cheaters on it. And the guy said to Tim Cindric, "You're living up to your reputation." And Cindric said, "I don't know if is that good or bad." And then he read the guy's shirt and wasn't very happy about it at all. But it's true. They do seem to be at the center of these cheating controversies more than anybody else. And it's frustrating because IndyCar is a really good series, but the Penske-led IndyCar has been an absolute mess from the start. It lacks vision, it lacks integrity, it lacks regulation of the team that is owned by the owner of the series. It's frustrating. It is wildly frustrating. The Indianapolis 500 is the greatest race in the world, and it should not be overshadowed by the guy who owns the series and the racetrack, his team, once again, being caught in the center of another cheating scandal. And like I said, it's not that it is going to provide that big of an advantage. It's the fact that you're not allowed to modify this part. It's the fact that no other team did it, but Penske still kept doing it, even though they probably knew it was wrong. It's frustrating. It definitely is frustrating. And, I don't know what you do about it. They've talked about getting like a third party in there to officiate, whether that be USAC, FIA, something like that. They definitely need to do it. I don't like the idea of an IndyCar funded one because, listen, where do your paychecks still come at the end of the day? So it's going to come from Penske Entertainment. So I don't necessarily trust that at all. Either way, I'm really happy for Prema, really happy for Robert Shwartzman. Hate it for Jacob Abel and everybody else that had to participate in the last row shootout on Sunday because ultimately 2 of those people probably should have been spared and put into the race regardless. And same for like a Connor Daly who qualified 13th and should have had that opportunity to run for the Fast Six and maybe even the pole, but was robbed of it because, well, they were just going to allow the Penske cars with cars that failed tech to still start 11th and 12th. So that part's kind of annoying. Regardless, let me know in the comments what you think about Prema, Shwartzman winning the pole, as well as the Team Penske cheating scandal. Once again, like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok @BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook @BreakHardBlog.